Well, I'm delighted that he's showing so much this season because he's had it a bit tough, Harry Kane. He was allowed to go out on loan last couple of years to get some experience. He originally went to Norwich and was in the Premier League, and he picked up an injury very early on in his loan spell and struggled somewhat.
And he looks good at the moment. I can't judge him because he looks good. He's playing well at the moment.
He's done better than I thought he would. He's showing the ability that I wasn't so sure that he possessed. He seems to have got quicker.
I'm very, very excited about this lad, and I can't wait to see if he keeps his feet on the ground, metaphorically, not literally.
He's a top-class player. He looks good. He looks really good at the moment. But I like to judge him when defenders start to get used to him. You know, I think he's an unknown quantity. He's come in quite late in the season, and no one really knows how. At the moment, he looks a really good prospect, but for the future, I mean, let's see how he goes next season. I mean, when people get to know how he's going.
He brings players into the game. He sees the pass. He's very aware of what's going on, but he also can score goals. And you know, when he's in a goal-scoring opportunity or position, he's quite single-minded, quite selfish in some respects, because you know he takes the shot on if he sees it, and that's why he's been so successful. But I do see him eventually becoming that number 10, just over the front man, because I think he's lacking that real pace.
The way that he travels with the ball, I found very impressive. He's incredibly direct.
He hits the ball so hard with both feet.
I've been impressed with his ability to go into big games and not look overawed. Some strikers at that age will produce against certain sides. Against Chelsea, he was outstanding. He gave John Terry and Cahill a run around that day.
He's got an array of finishing. I mean, much was made of his headed goal in the Derby match, but for me, the first goal was just as important because of the movement, the way he made space. He knew where the ball was going to land, and he made space, and he was able to make it look like the simplest training ground half volley.
Still giving me nightmares after those 2 goals, mate.
But I think his greatest strength is that he's an all-round footballer.
I don't think he'll score as many goals next season as he has this. I could be wrong. But I think that he's got an awful lot in his armoury, and he's proved me wrong this season. I didn't think he had the ability to go on and do as well as he has. And it would appear the people, the powers that be at Spurs would perhaps agree with me, because they spent gazillions on Soldado and they persisted with Adebayor. Yet really, he's only found his way in the side since November, and he was under their nose all along.
I think Pochettino deserves a bit of credit for that, and for the faith that he's shown in putting him ahead of not only Adebayor, but the previous management's arguably most expensive mistake.
But he looks as if he can become top class player, but it's too early to judge. I can't really call it. I mean, I don't.
For final judgment, we can have this conversation next season.
You know, I think we've found a real gem. I know people are perhaps going overboard a little bit and saying, let's see him next year, but I think he's got the all-round ability to get through that. You know, defenders will work him out a bit more next year, but he's got a lot more to his game than just one facet, and that's why I think he's going to be around for some time.
Being an Arsenal fan, I hope he doesn't develop that, but into a top class. I'm being honest, aren't I? But
it'll be interesting to see over the next 18 months or so if Spurs can hold on to him.
I've seen it before. All these with strikers. I remember, was it Michael Ricketts? And look what happened to him.
People are talking about him as an out-and-out centre-forward because he's scoring all these goals, but there's much more to his game than that. And I think we will see over the next couple of seasons that he may well develop into a number 10.
We did have him in at 10 years old, but for some reason he slipped through the net.
And he's got a lot going for him, but he's still young, and I don't really want to big him up too much just yet. Does he deserve to be in the England squad? Absolutely. Does he deserve a chance to play? Without question.
when he's the best English centre forward in the country, which he is, he must be in the team. Especially as, it's not that he's come from nowhere, he's proved himself in the under-21s.
You know, you burst on the scene, Roy's got to have a look at you. And that's what's happened with Harry Kane and one or two other young players. I don't think Harry Kane will be the only surprise inclusion in Roy Hodgson's next squad.
If he's as good as everyone hopes he'll be, and as an England fan, I hope he goes on to be as good as the player that he's being compared with, Alan Shearer, which is way too premature at this stage.
I think he's the real deal. I think that he'd be the absolute real deal if he had a bit more pace.
At the moment, I've got absolutely no reason to believe that he's not the real deal.